Gravity.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session. I am Meenakshi Rathi, working as a deputy manager in HR team at our corporate office. As all of you know, for today's webinar, our topic is change management, which I believe is very much in need by the organizations across the globe due to the current scenario. In general, change management is a systematic approach and the application of knowledge, tools, and resources to deal with change. As per to me, organizational change management is required whenever a company undergoes any sudden events that may interrupt our day-to-day operations, like COVID nowadays. So that was a perspective of an HR. Let us discuss further with the panelist. For our webinar today, we are specially joined by Mr. Alok Megi, our VP of Highways posted in Jammu region. Our second panelist joining us today is Mr. Prakash Kumar, AVP in BD department in our corporate office. Our next panelist is Mr. Raghavendra Bhatt, working as a team leader in our Pune Metro project. We also, hello, dear audience, I would request you to please mute your mics. Okay. We also have Mr. Mahmood Ahmed, our Senior VP for Water and Environment BU. Okay. Before going further in the session, I would like to announce few house rules. Everyone except the panelist and the host is requested to be on mute with their videos off. Please mute yourself. Next, the webinar will be in a journal format where we will have round about 25 to 30 minutes with our four esteemed panelists who will be sharing their views on change management. That will be followed by our open Q&A session. So I request you all to please type your questions which you have to our panelists in the chat box for the time being. I will take it up in the Q&A session. This session is recorded and you all are requested to kindly refer to Rodix social media channel to listen to this session. You may also share the link with your friends and families. Okay, so we will start with the session. Mr. Alok Megi, I would request you to please switch on your video and unmute your mic. Okay. Okay, so my first question is to you. What exactly is change management as per to you, and what is a good change management strategy we can adopt?
Yeah. So good afternoon, everybody, all my colleagues. So I will, I have a small presentation to share with you. So we'll go one by one. So first of all, everybody's mind, the question comes that what is change management? Most of us are aware, but I'll just share with you that change management refers to the task of managing a change. So if we decide that we have to do some change, bring some change in the organization, so how do we manage that change? That is the change management. Then managing change means making changes in a planned and a managed or a systematic fashion. So once we decide that what changes we are going to make, so we have to plan and manage the same. So as I'll be briefing you in the next slides. Then what are the principles for the change management? So at all times, we have to involve and seek support from people within the system. System means our environment, processes, culture, relationships, behaviors, whether it may be personal from one to one or in the organization. Number two, we have to understand that where we are, whether it is an individual or an organization. So at the moment where we are, and then where we want to be, when and why. That say after 5 years, so we want to take our organization to a particular level. So we have to understand that where we want to be, when and why, and what will be the measures which will be required for reaching or getting there. Then we have to plan development in an appropriate, achievable and a measurable stage. So then communicate, involve, enable, and facilitate involvement of people as early and openly and as fully as possible. Because without the involvement of the people, means the employees of the organization, if it is an organization and we want to make some changes, so we have to communicate with them and see that everybody gets involved, and we have to enable and facilitate their involvement so that the changes are made possible. Then what are the processes for the change management? So they is it coming? Is it the slides are showing, please?
Not yet. Not yet.
Change management process. Can you see the slide, please?
So please wait for 1 minute. Request you to wait for 1 minute, please.
Okay.
सर यहाँ पे कोड कहता है RCC crash variant salary provided between footpath.
Mr. Alok Negi.
Yeah, should I continue?
Your PPT now is visible. Yeah.
So the change management process. So basically there are 6 main activities which are involved in the change management process. First of all, identify potential change. So what is the change we want to make? That is the identification. Then assess whether with this change, what benefits we are getting. So we have to make a complete assessment that how it will affect the organization or the employees of the organization. After that, we plan the change. Then implement the change. After the implementation, we review it, that whether whatever benefits we thought that we will get with this change, are we able to get those benefits, or we have to make some further changes. And once that is done and we are satisfied that whatever changes we visualize, so all those changes have been made and all those benefits have accrued to the employees and the organization, so then we can close that change. The next, is it visible, light?
Hari, I think you have to move to the 5th slide, which I'm sure he's going to talk about, resistance to change.
Yeah.
Please move to the 5th slide, Hari.
It is. I am already there, but is it visible on the screen for you?
Actually, Mr. Mengi, Hari is playing the slides on your behalf, since I think your slides were not visible to us.
So no,
so
I am on resistance to change. Yes. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Okay, fine. That's fine. For making any change, the biggest challenge is that you face resistance. Maybe from an individual, from a group, or within the organization as such. Because change always disturbs the existing equilibrium, existing procedures, then power structures, etc., within the system or the organization. So this may not be liked by some individual or maybe some groups. So the resistance to change could be overt, that is the immediate resistance to change, that once the management mentions that we are going to change such and such process, there may be some immediate resistance from individuals or from some group of employees, or maybe it may be implicit, or that is the deferred resistance, that after some time some group will come, okay, this change is not for the benefit of the employees or for the organization as a whole. So resistance is a big component in the making the change in the change management process. Resistance can occur at any level. So it can be an individual level, it can be at the group level, and it can be even at the whole organization level. We have to build a culture for change, because without building the culture, so it is not possible to bring the changes. As you know, even for an individual, so if he wants to make some changes in his personal life, so it is very difficult unless he improves his behavior, or some other things. So the change program should describe the change process. We have to describe the change process to all people involved and explain the reasons that why the changes are occurring. Though the information has to be complete, unbiased, reliable, transparent, and timely. Then we have to design ourselves to effectively implement the change while being aligned with organizational objectives, macro environmental trends, and employee perceptions and feelings. Then we have to provide support to the employees as they deal with the change, and wherever possible involve the employees directly in the change process itself, because that is the best way. If you whatever change you want to make in the organization, if the whole of the organization, all the employees in the organization are properly briefed about the change, and then they are provided full support during the change process, whatever problems they are facing, so we are able to address those problems, so that then the change process will be very, very smooth. And then we have to monitor consistently and review the effectiveness of the change. A successful change management program is typical also a flexible project, because the change, whatever changes we are making, so they may not be 100% correct right at the beginning, but with the involvement of the people and after the review from time to time, some changes may be required till we announce that the change is no final and it has to be accepted by everybody. There is one ADKR, ADKR model, which was developed by Jeff Hyatt, who is an entrepreneur and an author. He is founder of a group called Prosky. So the Prosky group is focused exclusively on change management. So this model is very helpful for individual change management. So basically this model has 5 building blocks, so which must be implemented to realize the change successfully. It is basically a management job to create an environment in which people can go through these 5 changes as quickly as possible. So A stands for awareness, D for desire, to support, then K stands for knowledge, A stands for ability to implement the new skills and behaviors, and reinforcement, R stands for reinforcement to sustain that change. I'll explain it in the next slide. So this is a graph which shows that how you can bring the change successfully. So one side shows the change stages of the project, and the horizontal side shows the change stages of the employees. That is the awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. If all these things are met, then we can implement the change very successfully. So by awareness involves building awareness of the problem, that what was the problem or what was the issue involved, and how we can solve that issue and how it will benefit the employees and the organization. Then number 2 is desire. Desire involves the desire to implement the solution. So there should be a desire in everybody that this change is to be made, and this is the solution for implementing that change. And everybody has to participate in its implementation. This also includes an investment in supporting the improvements proposed and thus realizing the benefits that are achieved as a result. So everybody has to support the change which is decided by the management or which is proposed to be implemented, because with the support of everybody, only the change will become effective and productive. Knowledge involves developing the knowledge and training needed to create the change. Maybe once we decide about bringing a change, so it is possible that we may be having in-house facilities available, in-house knowledge available for bringing that change. But it is also possible that we may not be having those that type of knowledge in the organization, and we may have to outsource that whole thing for taking of this work. Ability involves having the ability to move from current state to the desired state. So this is about more than just being able to envision the change. It involves being able to realize the desired change in the dynamic environments. So we have to visualize that this change has to happen, and we have to be with that change. Then reinforcement involves providing reinforcement and incentives, internal and external, to maintain momentum, creative engagement, and leadership of the change and the leadership of the change goals. So the leadership is also very important, which has to rather convince the employees about the benefits of the change which the organization is going to bring, because only then, once the employees get convinced, this change will be effective. Then for making changes, the organization has to develop some strategies. So for developing, they have to adopt different type of strategies depending on the different factors, like as we talked about the resistance. So what is the degree of resistance to a particular change? So the decision has to be guided by that. Then how many employees or the population is going to be benefited with the change? Then what are the stakes involved? That whether with the change the organization is going to be benefited, it is going to become more competitive in the market. So all these things have to be kept in view. Then time frame, that how much time is required for making the change, whether we want to do it incrementally or we want to do it step by step. Then degree of expertise involved. So same thing, that whether we have the expertise available in-house or we have to outsource the expertise. So that thing has also to be thought before bringing the change. And then the dependency on the change, whatever system we are changing, so what is the dependency of the organization on that particular system? So in the end, so as you all know, the only thing constant in the world is change. This has been beautifully said by a Greek philosopher, Heraclitus, because for making today better than yesterday and tomorrow better than today, the change is required. This is a Japanese principle which they have adopted in their corporate world, so for making the changes. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for explaining the change management so thoroughly. And I totally agree with your viewpoints that resistance within the organization to change management is the biggest obstacle that we face. And I thank you for explaining that ADKAR model so thoroughly. And I would request Mr. Prakash. Mr. Prakash, if you are ready, if you are ready with your PPT, please start sharing with the screen.
Can you see the PPT?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's visible. So I would like to ask, what are the challenges faced in change management in today's COVID times, and what leadership style you think is best suited for implementing a successful change management in an organization?
Okay.
Sir, please start sharing your screen.
Can you see the presentation?
Sir, slideshow in the form slideshow.
Oh, slideshow.
It is visible. Please put it in slideshow.
Slideshow mode. Yes. Yes.
I put it in slideshow mode now.
Yeah.
Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, all seniors and my dear colleagues. Today we have all gathered here for a webinar on change management. The topic that I have been assigned is, what are the challenges faced in change management in COVID times? Which leadership style is best suited for implementing successful change management in an organization? Well, I have structured my presentation into 5 categories. To start with, the first one is barriers and challenges to change. The second is challenges faced in change management. Then challenging resistance to change. Then challenges for leadership in the COVID-19 pandemic. Then leadership styles. And finally, the survival strategies for businesses during COVID-19. Right, the first slide. The major barriers. No business can survive without adapting a change. Although change can be difficult to handle, the task of a leader is to prepare employees for these changes. While the changes may be necessary for the future of a company, one is likely to face certain barriers as well. The first barrier to me is lack of proper planning. If we are not planned well and have not done step-by-step planning, change is likely to fail or cause more problems than benefits. The second is handling low employee morale. In most of the cases, employees dislike change management. In case it is insisted for change, morale of the employees goes down, which creates a lot of problem. And it is also a major barrier. The next is lack of consensus. For any change management, getting everyone on board is very important. Decision to implement changes should come from the top level of the organization, and all the management level staff needs to be in sync and able to deal with the changes, because there could be a lot of problems unless the management team supports, but it's not going to get clarified and becomes a major hurdle. The next point to me is adopting new technology. Technology has become a pivot on which businesses grow these days, but it also has its challenges. One of the major challenges is integrating new technology with the existing platforms. Another is getting all employees trained into it. So it is also a big hurdle. It is a big task that needs to be done. And then finally, the communication. All employees are anxious to know about what's going on, whether it is a positive or a negative news. So news is more important. So it is very important to keep all employees updated regularly about the plans and progress towards the change implementation, or else it becomes a gossip point. The next point that I'm dealing is challenges faced in the change management. First and the foremost is resistance, as very beautifully explained by Mr. Mengi. Resistance. Any change management has a lot of resistance from employees. This is human behavior. And the prime reasons for resistance is misunderstandings, lack of trust, fear of failure, fear of outcome, uncertainty, and threat to job. Now, how these resistance can be handled? Now, let's understand resistance to change is more of a psychological problem, and to overcome it, one needs to change the mindset of the affected individual and make them more receptive. Now, to overcome it, transparency is very important. All employees want to know why a change is being made, not just the benefits change will provide, acknowledging problem and explaining how the change is intended to solve the problem. Second is training. An effective training program is vital, especially when introducing new technologies, because this is a long exercise which has to be done. Management and executive involvement. All employees want to see the leadership involved in the change, and there is a clear plan in place to administer this change and respond to the concerns, because there would be a lot of concerns until unless the top leadership explains all these things and goes well in the employees, it becomes a major barrier. Then obviously communication again is very important. Every change management plan should include focus on clear, consistent communication across the multiple channels. Now, challenges for the leadership in the COVID-19, this pandemic situation. Leading and inspiring employees in the global pandemic is only possible with compassion for employees. The need of the hour of the top leadership is inside and then outside. Noise. Hello. Request all to please mute your mic. This will enable them to lead from the heart and the mind. Some of the fundamental qualities the leaders need to have to be exemplary in their leadership is empathy, to be able to put themselves in the shoes of employees, decisive action, to be able to take decisions with courage based on the imperfect information, because we are not going to have a proper decision support system or a management information system which will help the top leadership take a decision, because there would be a lot of imperfect information flowing. Next is seizing the narrative at the outset, to be transparent about current realities while also painting a compelling picture of the future that inspires others. Now, organizations look at the leaders for guidance on tackling challenges in the crisis. Some of the points I have covered. The leadership needs to have respond with a people first mindset, build a cross-functional central response team with experts from all departments, IT, admin, HR, legal. Develop crisis response strategy, keeping all stakeholders in perspective. Activate business continuity plan and disaster recovery mechanisms. Assess and procure IT. Assess and procure IT tools and infrastructures such as laptops, data cards, etc. Allow well thought out cuts in discretionary spends to maintain a healthy cash flow. Review of the performance metrics to align it with the business and technology strategies. I think these points are self-explanatory. Prepare temporary succession plan for key executive positions and critical roles. For example, somebody falls ill. In that case, you need to have a contingency plan that who is going to handle those positions. Then next point is that I would be dealing is leadership styles. What are the leadership? Why is the leadership styles important? As we develop leadership skills, we are likely to use different processes and methods to achieve our employers' objectives and meet the needs of the employees who support us in our day-to-day function. To be effective as a manager, we might have to use several leadership styles at given point of time. There are many types of leadership styles, but I have listed down 10 most common leadership styles. First is coach leadership style. A coach leader is someone who understands his team members' strengths, weaknesses, and motivates to help everyone improve. This type of leader often assists team member in setting smart goals. The coach leadership style is most advantageous for employers as well as for employees. The next is visionary. Visionary leaders have a powerful ability to drive progress and usher in period of change by inspiring employees and earning trust of the new ideas. This type of leadership style is especially helpful for small, fast-growing organizations or large organizations experiencing transformation or corporate restructuring. Next is servant. Servant leaders live by people-first mindset and believe that when team members feel personally and professionally fulfilled, they are more effective and more likely to produce great work regularly. A servant leader is an excellent leadership style for organizations of any industry and size, but is especially prevalent within non-profit organizations. Next is autocratic, authoritarian style of leadership. This type of leader is focused almost entirely on results and efficiency. They often make decisions alone or with a small trusted group and expect employees to do exactly what they are asked. They are authoritative in nature. Next is laissez-faire. This type of leaders is opposite to the autocratic leadership style, focusing mostly on delegating many tasks to team members and providing little or no supervision. Because laissez-faire leaders do not spend their time intentionally managing employees, they often have more time to dedicate to other projects. They just leave it to the managers. The next type of leadership is democratic. A democratic leadership style, also called a participative style, is a combination of autocratic and laissez-faire type of leadership. Democratic leaders ask for input and consider feedback from their team before deciding, because team members feel that their voice is heard and their contributions matter. A democratic leadership style is often credited with fostering high level of employee engagement and workplace satisfaction. Then the next type of leaders are pace setters. The pace setting leadership style is one of the most effective for driving fast results. These leaders are primarily focused on performance. They often set high standards and hold their team members accountable for hitting the goals. The next type of leadership is transformational. The transformational leadership style is similar to coach style in that it focuses on clear communication goal and setting an employee motivation. Next is transactional. A transactional leader is lesser focused on performance like a pace setter. Under this leadership style, the manager establishes predetermined incentives, usually in the form of monetary reward for success and disciplinary action for failure. Now, the last one is bureaucratic. Bureaucratic leaders are similar to autocratic leaders in that they expect their team members to follow the rules and procedures precisely as written. As written in the SOP, they just want individuals to follow that. Now, these are the 10 type of leadership styles. All leadership styles have their advantages and disadvantages. All type of leadership styles, in fact, is applicable in different type of organizations. The one that is applicable to IT sector will not be applicable to a consulting sector, will not be the same for the construction industry likewise. Now, some of the survival strategies for businesses during COVID-19. Well, we have been following all these. So the top priority is to immediately help employees adapt to remote working and optimize on experience to maximize productivity. Next is immediately deploy or scale the use of collaboration tools such as Microsoft Teams and provide targeted perspective guidance for effective productivity. Next is organize an elastic digital workplace task force. Next is equip traditional desktop workers with mobile solutions and implement virtual desktop solutions. Then next is plan policies for 3 months, 9 months, 18 months, because we never know how long this situation is going to stay. As it is, more than 5 months have passed, but still it's going on. A lot of cases are coming. If we consider it as a 3 months problem, an instant halt on variable expenditures like hiring, marketing, travel, etc. can help. However, if the crisis continues for 9 months to a year, entrepreneurs will have to reconfigure their business strategy to reduce the variable expenses. Then managing employees and related optimization for large companies considering layoffs. The primary option should be to cut the salaries of higher paid employees to try to retain the people who can least afford to lose their jobs. Next is care for employees. Nothing more to explain. Care for the company community. Companies have donated hundreds and millions of rupees. Make physical operation touch-free. So these were the 5 points that I've covered, and would like to conclude saying if we understand and manage these barriers to change management, it will be easy to implement the change and everyone in the organization will be comfortable to embrace the new change. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for explaining the different management styles that we can take in COVID times, and also what are the business survival strategies we can use in these times. I would request our audience to please type the questions in the chat box. We will take them later in the ending in Q&A session. Next, I would request Mr. Raghavendra Bhatt to please unmute himself and play his video, and please share your PPT if you have. So Mr. Raghavendra Bhatt, I would like to ask you, what are the tools and techniques to master a successful change management process? Yes, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. Regarding change management, Mr. Alok Negi has explained very well, and regarding leadership also, Mr. Prakash Kumar has already briefed about this COVID scenario. And my topic today is change management tools and techniques. Just I have picked up 2 topics. You can hear me, right?
Please carry
Yes,
on.
please
You're
okay.
audible.
Yes.
Can you everybody able to see my presentation?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir, it's visible.
Yeah. Change management tools and techniques, basically which helps change management process. And also I would like to talk about change management process in construction projects. I thought it is also a relevant topic. And what is change management tools and techniques? Change management tools assist organization to streamline the change process. For example, can you able to see my changes? Yeah, change management tools assist organization to streamline the change process.
We are not able to see your slide. Put your
PPT
slide.
is visible. Please share the PPT screen.
Just a minute. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Please put in slide mode.
Yeah, it is in slide mode only.
Slideshow mode. Yeah.
I hope it is in slideshow mode only.
Yes, sir. Now it's visible. Please carry on.
Yeah. Basically, change management tools assist organization to streamline the change process and help to achieve the desired objectives or desired business goals. In other words, we can say change management tools prepare employees to face new scenario and facilitate successful implementation of changes. In a project management context, it is nothing but scope change management process. So I will explain it later. In last slide, I have explained about project management context. What is the scope management, scope change management? Now we will see why change management is needed and what are the tools. When change management is, it's already been explained, but I will just tell in brief. Whenever there is implementation of new technology, which requires training, skill development programs, etc., and whenever there is a merger or acquisition, may change organizational work culture, so employees need to adopt new system. Change in leadership, expectation of management may change, so we need some change management. At the times of crisis, best example is what we have already discussed. What we are facing today, organization has to adopt specific safety requirements and remote working culture to cope with COVID-19. So what are the tools and techniques? There are basically 5 tools, or we can say 5 steps in the process of change management. First, we can say define the objectives, define the goals clearly. And second step is assessment, proper assessment and planning. And fourth point is implementation. And fifth and last is outcome evaluation. We will discuss one by one. First is define the objectives. We need to define, management has to define the goals clearly to have a clear perspective, what is going to be changed, what is the need of the organization for the further growth. And strategy, are we looking for new opportunities or switching over to new business? So strategy to be well defined and well thought of. And define types of changes, what kind of changes proposed. For example, technology upgrading, organizational restructuring, or opening a new wing. This has to be defined in first step. Once we define these goals, once we define what are these changes required, then we need to assess one by one. For example, change readiness. Evaluate employees' readiness towards the change. Second is identify stakeholders' engagement levels. We need to, as an organization, need to ensure mutual understanding and common solutions within stakeholders. Everybody should be on same page. So third is job impact assessment. For example, impact due to changes in work culture to be handled, impact of changes in roles of employees, and impact on individuals to be assessed properly. Finally, assessment of business gains or losses, on risks, financial impact on the organization, or budget analysis that needs to be assessed properly. And third step comes planning. We have to define specifications of the objectives, how it has to be, and fix up the targets under time schedule. And under budget planning, we may require to review the investment and return plan, estimation of expenditure and profit, etc. And define roles. In planning stage itself, we have to define tasks for individuals and groups. And communication strategy to be such that it can be adapted easily. And measures to deal with crisis, that also crisis management plan should be in place to handle adverse situation, conflicts or resistance. After proper planning, we will come to implementation stage. Communicate, make everyone aware of the benefits of new changes, new approach. Proper communication is very important and important part of implementation. And change awareness programs, arrange training programs, presentations to employees and stakeholders. For example, if there is no proper communication, normally for any changes in working or changes in technology, very few think, hey, it is so exciting, but most of the people, they may think it may not be so useful, or I will not have to do what I was doing anymore. So they may feel fear and discomfort. Will company may keep me? There are so many questions will come to the mind of employees. So there are feel of fear and discomfort with the employees. As per the research, only 38% of the people are accepting changes, and remaining 62% are not willing to leave their comfort zones. So it is very important to have positive interpretation of changes by employees as well as stakeholders. So bringing changes in work culture is very important. How? Motivation, enforce guidelines, encourage people. But it is really challenging. For example, when SAP system got introduced, when I was working in Delhi Metro in the year 2000, everyone is initially, they told, hey, this is very difficult. It's very difficult to remember the steps. And if basically for the people who is working in the projects, they don't have get time to sit in the office and work. But finally, everybody is adopted, because slowly they have used to it, and once they used to it, then implementation is very easy. So proper training and employees involvement is very much important. And regulate the change. This is also very important aspect of implementation. Intermittent goals has to be set up to ensure sustainability. Without this implementation, proper implementation, the organization goal they may not able to achieve the required result or what they have thought. For example, Reliance Infra entered rail infrastructure project business in the year 2006, but could not successful due to improper change management. So sustainable change management is very important. Finally, outcome evaluation. Once we implemented the change, need to compare the targets and actual outcome. we may go with analytical evaluation of the outcome and review of risks, dependencies, returns, and budget management that we need to evaluate once new change has been implemented. And communicate success. It is also very important for a sustainability. Announcement, display and celebrate the achievements, and review of possible further adjustments. It must be dynamic and sustainable. So outcome evaluation also very much important, and it is one of the main change management tools and techniques. And key factors for a successful implementation, just I have noted down some does and don'ts. Thorough analysis of changes and people that are involved, that is must. Validate the proposed solutions. Effective communication and training. Just I will go through because it is all self-explanatory. It is define measurable outcomes and waypoints. Deal properly with risks and contingencies. Put strong governance in place. And managers must exclusively focus on structural and technical components of changes. And don'ts, of course, don't jump to a solution or don't plan for certainty. Those are the two major don'ts when we are implementing the change management. Now I will just explain about the change management process in construction projects. The term change management is referred to scope management in a project management. And one of the major responsibilities of consultant is effective implementation of scope change in projects. What are the process involved in change management in construction projects? Basically, scope change request is submitted by a executing agency or a contractor. Sometimes it is from client. As a consultant, we have to review and assess the scope changes, and as per the contract provisions, we will need to submit the report to the client. And client will review again what is proposed by the consultant, and he will finally approve. Maybe approval may be partial or fully. Once it get approved, proper implementation, executing as per the revised scope, and monitoring during execution. So request for change, impact analysis, approval, implement change, and review reporting. These are the process, or we can say tools, in the change management in construction projects. And what are the roles of project management consultants in a scope change management process? You can see, collect all the information and every details related to scope change. Consultant has to gather each and every details, even minute details. And while defining the scope change, include minute details. And scope has to be bifurcated for effective management. Create work breakdown structures. If it is possible, even payment also we can make it in stages for the different activities. And validate, refine, revised scope. That is, define and revise the scope clearly. The revised scope has to be defined properly. And finally, we need to assist, of course, assist the approval process. And once it is approved, this change scope during execution, it has to be monitored, managed, and controlled properly. This is the major role and responsibility of project management consultants while managing scope change management. This is what I thought it is relevant, so I just added. That's all about these change management tools and techniques. So implementation of tools and techniques are the key for the success of change management. So I conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think we we all believe that the implementation part of a change management is the most crucial part. And if the implementation part doesn't go as well, then I don't believe the change would happen in an organization. And the communication part, the awareness programs, they should, be well aware, be well thought of, so we can motivate our employees towards more positive thinking. Thank you so much, sir. And also, I would like to thank you regarding your viewpoints, how we can get the change management in construction projects. Thank you so much. I would now request Mr. Mahmood Ahmed to please switch on his video and unmute his mic. Mr. Mahmood Ahmed? Sir?
Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, I'm there.
Yes.
Mr. Bhatt, please remove your slide, please. Mr. Bhatt.
Mr. Prakash Bhatt, please. No,
Mr. Rajendra Bhatt, you need to remove your slide.
Thank you, sir. Yes. Sir, I would like to ask your views about how change management can be successfully implemented in our Rodic company, and how can our employees be motivated to adopt to that change?
Yes, I will surely, go through that. Let me put up the PPT. Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Please put
Let
it
me
in
put it to
slideshow.
the slideshow. Yeah, let me see. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
All right. All my three analyst colleagues, they have, I think, explained it, the terminology in the change management, tools and techniques and challenges, leadership styles, and how to make it successful. So, adding to that and taking over from those three very important topics, I just wanted to add, as per my question, how change management can successfully be implemented in Rodic or in consultancy, maybe we can say, and how can an employee be motivated throughout this, change management process. Now, this content will be like, I will be, citing some examples of change management, of the changes, basically, the business changes, where the change management is a necessity, why we should do it in a very processed way and a very structured way. And what are the key factors for this successful implementation of the change management? And at the same time, which is very important, that how to, keep staff motivated to adapt to this change so that it is successfully done and we get all benefited. Now, some of the examples in a consultancy sector, in particular, what I have seen and witnessed in my previous experiences, that merger and acquisition, of course, is one of the major, change management exercise is done by many companies. And why it is required, everybody knows about it, to sustain growth and expand the market, or the demand of the market is that you have to merge your capability with another company. So this particular business change is a major change in any organization, maybe in construction sector as well. And second, most important is change in leadership. In multinational companies, this happens very, very quickly. Change in organization structure overall, or maybe part of it. That's also a big change which happens in the organizations. Some organizations, they tend to change the domains of the business, adding some new business domains, or some infrastructure consulting firm, they start doing some designs and activities from their overseas project. So they're creating global design centers. Some are trying to include some technology intervention in the ongoing operations, like project management information system, to remotely monitor project progresses effectively and transparently, and introducing BIM when their CAD services are to be enhanced, and introducing some new ERP system, very comprehensive ERP system which can take care of their finance, administration, business development, and of course operation. So these are some very new technology interventions. Really needs change management process to be followed. Recently, we have seen during pandemic work from home concept, which is getting a new normal type of tag, and how to balance the work from office as well as home. There should be a set of exercise which is to be done by many companies. How to really balance this and get the productivity intact of the current employees, and how to even enhance it also. Then some of the business changes are like when they are working from the local market and how they can penetrate the international market. That's also a big change in consulting sectors always, and which needs really different strategic tie-ups with international players, and kind of a separate business plan is needed. So there's also a change which really requires change management exercise. Now I'll come down to these some of the key factors which are required for the successful implementation of change management. Some of them are very well covered by my three panelists in the beginning in their presentation. So it may look like a repeat exercise, but most of them have agreed that a clear and valid reason for the change should be planned by the management of the company or the change committees which they have formed, because they are the first one who knows about why there is a desire for the change and what are the outputs of these change going to come up, which will benefit the company and its employees as a whole. So a plan should be in place with the desire to change, with well-defined benefits. So once this is not done, it cannot move further. The second most important point is timely communication. Now, there are a lot of changes, small, medium, and large type of and complicated changes, which requires communication at different levels. Like one communication cannot go to all employees because they may not, that decision or the information may not influence them much, or it's not required by them. So different type of people will require different type of skill. Communication. So using emails, MS Team, we are regularly doing it in our office, and most of the office we are doing it. Open and prompt information to the employees about the change is definitely the key. And source reliability means the information should be from the company. People should not get some information from the outside, what is going on inside in our company and what are going to be the changes here. That will be a disaster for the employee as well, because his morale will be very down. Then third important point is integration of the staff feedback. Now, if you are going to change something, you have to involve people, not exactly all the people. Sometimes some changes require some sections or the group of the divisions. So, but the integration of the feedback per se is very important, like involving and creating some channels for the staff feedback, not only on the emails, but there are a lot of channels with our corporate communication and HR. They are already doing in this office. They are very innovatively doing it, and those channels can be used or created, for these major changes going to happen in the companies. Building a strong change team. Now, each change requires a different expertise. Merger and acquisition requires another kind of expertise. Creating a new ERP system requires another technical, intervention and skills. So there has to be a small, strong change team to be, put up by the management, and that team should, drive this change on the ground with the help of the management, so that it is successfully, implemented. Next point is motivation as the staff, which my other panelists also covered in their presentation, which is very important, because there will be definitely going to be, anxiety for some of their staff. So to reduce that, which is very important, to get to this activity on the top priority. And then managing the workload also. All these changes and majority of the changes, they increase the workload of some of the section of the employees, not all, but some of the sections. So those sections to be identified during the planning of this change exercise, and those people should be involved in these change management procedures, and their current role or current task should be given to others, so that they can really do justice with this new task which has been given to them. And of course, the evaluating the success of the change initiative. Now, a change can happen overnight for a day or two. Change in the leadership or organization structure, we can change in one day. But introducing an ERP, introducing BIMS in the CAD services takes a lot of time. So we have to see the after effects of these initiatives on a regular basis, maybe on a fortnightly basis, a monthly basis, and then see where we are falling short, so that we can strengthen our activities. And coming back to the point which has been given to me as a question, how to keep staff motivated in the whole change management process. Yeah, right motivation definitely is required, because then you get all the feedback from the employees, and their comfort level and goes up during this change management process. First of all, they fear for the failure, that something is going to change, and new task they will not be able to do that. So first and the biggest is the fear of failure for the new thing. Then comes the uncertainty. What will happen? Whether we'll have a job, or somebody else will come into the system and they will run the system and we'll be out. And of course, exclusion. Like in merger and acquisition, this is a very, very important, bottleneck, or we can say the dilemma for the employee, that they always say that we will be excluded, and this new company is acquiring us, and they will have a staff, and why we will be needing. So these are the three major important, dilemmas in the mind of the staff, which we have to, remove during the change management process. And there are certain steps to be followed. How to keep a staff motivated when they have, these kind of three dilemmas? Engaging them. Employees right through the change process. I mean, we have to listen to them and engage them and get the feedback out of them. Even if some people are going to be affected with that, getting the feedback will definitely tell us exactly what needs to be done with them. Maybe some kind of a training or extra, involvement will help them in, syncing with the new business, or say a new change. Creating a channel for communication, which I've already, listed in my previous slides, which is very important to get the feedback from the change team, which management has created, or the management itself. Or creating a blog as a way of, capturing comments. My team in corporate communication, they know much better than us how to do that, and HR team also. Using communication methods for different people groups, because the demand for the people are different. For example, if there is an ERP to be introduced, a merger to be introduced, and what CAD dropsman should know about that, so he can know this, after a certain time. But there will be certain other groups which should know this information upfront. So the different groups and different people needs different information at different times. So emails, of course, is very common, and face-to-face individually discussions are to be needed with the senior management and senior managers. Then face-to-face interaction via MS Teams also. And to pacify some people, even management has to think of very, very structured, one-to-one meetings as well for a key staff, so that their feedback is intact, and then their concerns are removed. Facilitating employee learning, telling them that we're not going to lose them. So they're going to be trained in the new system, and then so facilitating their learning process on a regular basis. Aligning their goals with the company goals, because when you are changing, the company's goals are also changing. So you have to align the goals. You have to align the KPIs of the employees with the company's KPI. What we want to do in next 3 years and 5 years with this change, the employee should also know that where he is going to be there in 3 years and 5 years time. Once both these KPIs are aligned, his comfort level will grow, definitely. So that mechanism is very important to follow it up. And it's very important to know who are your influencers at the moment. For example, a manager handles 30 staff, but he knows exactly 2 or 3 staffs are quite attached to him in terms of the work, daily work. So he should at least convince for this change for these 2 staff, so that they can really convince the others, and down the line. This case is also very important when a project coordinator handles a project. He speaks to the team leader. He doesn't need to speak to all people who are reporting to the team leader. If he convinces the team leader, and the team leader convinces all other staff, the job is done. So you can easily go one by one and stage by step to influence the people for this change. Block out time for the team building. Very, very important activity, which really relaxes the people, and there will be an atmosphere for these team building, where you can go out of your work and chat and do some activities. HR team is very, very experienced in these kind of activities. This really helps in motivating people for any type of changes happening in the company, and for the positive outcome. Motivating employees with the right rewards, this is always there. Management always think about that, and our current management is very, very upfront on that. and motivating people with right and recognizing the talent in a new situation is also very important. So right rewards will definitely help in motivating the guys. And last but not the least, celebrate the change progress. Now some changes do happen for many months, so you celebrate each and every step, or maybe at end of the change process as well. Celebration doesn't cost much. Of course, if you have very luxury plans, then it definitely. But celebrating gives very big confidence to the people who are involved with these kind of tough times during change initiatives. That's what from my side. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Please stop sharing your screen. Thank you so much. As we are running out of time, we will only be taking 2 questions. So my first question is to Mr. Prakash. Mr. Prakash, sir. Sir.
Yes.
Yes, so my question is, I have received it in the chat group from Mr. S.T. Ravi Shankar, is how to ensure a smooth management. When an organization is, taking the management, how to ensure that a smooth change management is done, which will bring the desired result that the organization was looking for its transformation.
Well, I've tried to cover this point by saying that smooth transformations can be done by removing the obstacles such as misunderstanding, lack of trust, fear of failure, and all these things. So, if these things are tackled properly and the employees are taken into confidence, I think we can have a smooth transition.
Okay, thank you, sir. And Mr. Mohammed? Mr. Mahmood? Mr. Mahmood?
Yes, I'm available. Yeah.
Yes. My next question I've received from Ms. Smita Bhattacharya for you is, how best can Rodic implement a lean and mean business strategy by utilizing our existing staff and empowering them in their respective roles in a more efficient manner, rather than retrenching or rehiring new talents or hiring new talents?
Yeah, true. One of the few examples which we have already started work from home, and trying to take the advantage of working longer hours during our home stay. That's definitely one of the things. And then training these current staff to get the next productivity. Definitely, these are the 2 things which really can help us with a very lean structure, to give the same output which is required. This is going to be a new normal in times to come. Am I able to satisfy this question?
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. And I would request all our esteemed panelists to take up some questions that are there in the chat box, as we don't have time for taking more questions, and answer them in the chat box only. Thank you so much. And now I would like to request Mr. Leela Anand Chaudhary, our AVP Contracts, who has joined us today for vote of thanks. Mr. Leela Anand Chaudhary, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. And at the outset, I'm very grateful to you and the webinar team for giving me a chance to offer the vote of thanks for today's change management session. And to start with, this is a burning topic, and rightly put by all the panelists in with their vast and rich experience. They have made the justice to the topic and covered the entire length and breadth of the change management process. Mr. Mengi, thank you very much for setting the ball rolling, and you have very elaborately covered the process of change management, the scientific model behind that. And to be very frank, I could not agree more. Only change is constant now. Means in this world of global pandemic and the business environment changing on a daily basis, this is the key for any per individual person or the organization who has to be receptive on the changes every time. And you have also covered the resistance to change in an elaborate manner, which is a key factor which derails the entire key management process. So managing those resistance from the stakeholders, which could be the employees, it could be our associates, partners, and clients, that is also very important. Mr. Prakash has given us a very practical insight about the challenges and leadership styles in this scenario, particularly how this change management is can be dealt, and the people's first approach is the key, which he has very rightly pointed out. He has also gone into details with the leadership styles, which are having all those, and in my view, maybe every leader is having a mix of everything, and each situation demand a different kind of styles, and that has been very categorically elaborated. So thank you, Mr. Prakash, for that. Mr. Raghavendra Bhatt has been talking about the tools and techniques in the change management, and he has given the very key thing regarding this thing, that we have to come out of the comfort zone, and there is a requirement for changing the work culture and to adopt to the changes envisaged by the management. And particularly, he has also very nicely put up the changes required in the construction, change management in the construction, which is in our business line of business is very important. The change of scope management for managing the project as a PMC or construction supervision consultant. And to sum up, Mr. Mahmood has given the practical insight about the change management in the consultancy business we are all facing today. And he has also elaborated on the key factors for changes, which is communication with everyone, upward communication downwards, and feedbacks, and constantly listening to the stakeholders, the team, the employees, the people engaged in the change management. That is a very key important role. Again, the motivating the employees for any change is a key for success of the assigned management process. And you have very rightly and elaborately pointed out what the ways for motivating the people. So thank you, everyone, and
thank you.
Thank you, Meenakshi, for moderating the session, and also a big thanks to the people behind the scene, Mr. Harkrishna, the IT support, and the admin staff. And last but not the least, the management, who is giving us the entire platform for this kind of webinar and a learning experience for everyone. I must thank our HR team and our CMD sir, Mr. Rajkumar. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I would also like to thank all our panelists and the audience for their time and participation. Our next webinar, which is scheduled on 21st August, the topic is Understanding Leadership. I would strongly encourage you all to participate as a panelist or moderators. You can reach out to Mrs. Nidhi Sood for more details. And last of all, I would like to invite you all for our Independence Day celebration tomorrow. I'm sure you must have received an invitation for the same. So please make sure to join us tomorrow. Thank you, everyone. Stay tuned for our next session. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, for the patient hearing.
Thank you all for listening and appreciating whatever has been said. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for listening. Thank you.